Why do humans always touch things they shouldn't? The voice echoed through the cavernous hall, a mix of exasperation and curiosity. It belonged to Zelkor, a lanky alien with translucent, shimmering skin that reflected the faint blue glow of the stasis pod in the center of the room. His elongated fingers twitched nervously as he watched the human lean closer. "I wasn't planning to touch it," argued Ethan, a scruffy yet determined Earth explorer who had found himself entangled in alien affairs more times than he cared to admit. He adjusted the straps on his gear, eyeing the pod with equal parts awe and suspicion. "But let's be honest, Zelkor. You dragged me halfway across the galaxy to this creepy place for a reason. You think I can wake her up, don't you?" "Not think." "No," Zelkor replied sharply. His large, iridescent eyes blinked in unison as he paced back and forth, his thin frame casting long shadows across the ancient chamber. "You humans have this anomaly. A touch that disrupts energy fields. It's why you're here. The Council would have never agreed to this madness if there was any other option." Ethan snorted. "Great. So, I'm a last resort. Love that for me." The chamber was ancient, older than any human structure on Earth, and far more intricate. The walls were etched with glowing runes that pulsed gently, as if alive. In the center of it all was the stasis pod, a crystalline structure with veins of silver and gold running through it. Inside, the figure of a young woman lay perfectly still. Her features were delicate but unmistakably alien. Slightly elongated ears, silvery skin that seemed to shimmer like moonlight, and hair that flowed like liquid starlight even in her unmoving state. "She's beautiful," Ethan muttered, almost to himself. His voice softened as he stared at the alien princess. Despite her stillness, there was a strange energy about her, as if she were merely asleep and could wake at any moment. "What's her name again?" "Lunaria," Zelkor said, his tone reverent. "Princess of the Celestian Dominion. She's been in stasis for over 300 years, ever since the Great Cataclysm. Countless attempts have been made to wake her, but her protective energy field rejects all other species. Only a human might succeed. Only your touch might bridge the divide." Ethan frowned. "And if I fail?" Zelkor paused, his expression unreadable. "If you fail, we'll never get another chance. The Dominion is falling apart. Without Lunaria, her people, and perhaps the galaxy, are doomed." "No pressure." Then, Ethan muttered, wiping his palms on his pants. He took a tentative step toward the pod. The hum of the energy field grew louder, vibrating through the air. "What exactly am I supposed to do?" "Just touch the glass." "Touch the glass and focus your energy," Zelkor instructed. "Think of life, renewal, and connection. The pod will sense your intent." Ethan hesitated, his hand hovering just above the surface. For a moment, doubt flickered in his mind. What if this was all a mistake? What if his touch did more harm than good? But then he looked at Lunaria again, her serene expression, the faint glimmer of hope etched into her stillness. He couldn't walk away now. Taking a deep breath, he pressed his palm against the crystalline surface. The reaction was immediate. The pod's glow intensified, and the runes on the walls blazed with light. A low hum turned into a resonant chord, vibrating through the chamber and into Ethan's very bones. "What's happening?" Ethan shouted over the noise, his hand glued to the surface as if by an invisible force. "It's working," Zelkor exclaimed, his voice filled with a mix of astonishment and relief. "Don't let go." The light became blinding, forcing Ethan to squeeze his eyes shut. The air around him grew warm, charged with a strange, electrifying energy. And then, as suddenly as it began, the noise and light ceased. Ethan opened his eyes, his breath catching in his throat. The pod was gone. In its place stood Lunaria, no longer suspended in stasis, but very much awake. Her silvery skin glowed faintly, her luminous hair cascading down her back. Her eyes, large and filled with an otherworldly wisdom, locked onto Ethan's. "You," she said, her voice soft yet resonant, like a melody carried on the wind. "You are the one who woke me." Ethan's mouth went dry. Yeah, that's me. The human." Lunaria stepped forward, her movements graceful and deliberate. She reached out, her fingers brushing against Ethan's cheek. He felt a warmth spread through him, soothing yet powerful. "I felt your presence," she said. "Even in my slumber, your energy called to me." "Who are you?" "Ethan," he managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. "Just Ethan." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Thank you, just Ethan. You have done more than you know." Before Ethan could respond, a loud, mechanical noise echoed from the chamber's entrance. Zelkor spun around, his expression darkening. "The council's guards. They found us." "Why is that a bad thing?" Ethan asked, backing away as several armored figures stormed into the room, their weapons trained on the trio. Lunaria's expression hardened, her regal demeanor shifting to one of command. "Because not everyone wished for me to wake. Some would rather see the Dominion fall." As the guards closed in, Lunaria raised her hand, and a wave of energy pulsed outward, disarming them instantly. Ethan's eyes widened. "Okay, that was impressive." Lunaria turned to him, her eyes blazing with determination. "We must leave this place. The future of my people, and perhaps yours, depends on it." And so began their journey, a tale of unlikely alliances, intergalactic intrigue, and the awakening of a power that had slumbered for centuries. The trio made their way through the labyrinthine corridors of the ancient temple, the distant sound of reinforcements growing louder. Zelkor led the way, his knowledge of the temple's hidden passages proving invaluable. Lunaria's energy created a protective barrier around them, deflecting stray shots from pursuing guards. "What exactly is the Dominion?" Ethan asked as they ducked into a concealed tunnel. "And why is everyone so eager to either wake you or kill you?" Lunaria glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. The Celestian Dominion was once the greatest civilization in the galaxy, built on principles of unity and harmony. But after the Great Cataclysm, it fractured. "My stasis was meant to preserve me until the time was right to restore balance," Zelkor added. "Not everyone believes in her return. Some see it as a threat to their power." "Typical politics," Ethan muttered. "Even in space, it's a mess." They emerged from the tunnel into a wide-open landscape. The sky above was a swirling tapestry of stars and nebulae, and distant alien cities sparkled on the horizon. Lunaria took a deep breath, her face a mix of wonder and sorrow. "It's changed so much," she murmured. Before anyone could respond, a loud rumble shook the ground. A massive ship descended from the clouds, its sleek design and ominous hum sending chills down Ethan's spine. "That doesn't look friendly," he said, reaching for his blaster. "It's not," Zelkor confirmed. "We need to move." But before they could retreat, a figure emerged from the ship, flanked by armored soldiers. It was a tall alien with dark, metallic skin and piercing yellow eyes. He exuded authority and menace. "Lunaria," the figure said, his voice cold and commanding. "You should have stayed asleep, and you should have remembered your place, Malvar," Lunaria retorted, stepping forward. "The Dominion was never meant to be ruled by fear." Malvar's lips curled into a sinister smile. "Fear is what keeps order. Your idealism is outdated, and now it ends." He raised his hand, signaling his soldiers to attack. Lunaria responded with a surge of energy, creating a shimmering shield that protected them. Ethan and Zelkor took cover, returning fire whenever an opening presented itself. "This isn't sustainable," Zelkor shouted over the chaos. "We need a plan." "Working on it," Ethan replied, his mind racing. His gaze fell on a nearby cliff overlooking the battlefield. "If we can get up there, we might be able to disable their ship." Lunaria nodded. "Go. I'll hold them off." "Are you crazy?" Ethan protested. "You can't take them all on by yourself." Lunaria's eyes softened. "I'm not alone. Trust me." Reluctantly, Ethan and Zelkor made their way toward the cliff. As they climbed, Ethan couldn't help but glance back. Lunaria stood tall, her energy radiating like a star, holding her ground against Malvar's forces. Reaching the top, Ethan found a control panel near the ship's engines. "This should do it," he said, quickly dismantling the panel with Zelkor's help. "Hurry," Zelkor urged. "She can't hold them forever." With a final twist, Ethan severed a key connection. The ship's engine sputtered and died, grounding it. Below, Malvar's forces faltered, their coordination breaking without the ship's support. Lunaria seized the opportunity, unleashing a final wave of energy that sent Malvar and his soldiers retreating. Exhausted but victorious, she rejoined Ethan and Zelkor on the cliff. "You did it," Ethan said, his admiration evident. "We did it," Lunaria corrected, a faint smile gracing her lips. "But this is only the beginning. There is much to rebuild, and many battles yet to come." Together, they gazed out at the horizon, a galaxy on the brink of change, and the promise of a new dawn led by a princess awakened after centuries of silence.